Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Busy news going on a lot. Of course, most of you probably thinking and focused on the hurricane that's hitting Florida. Was downgraded to Category 3, according to what I can find out in the news. Started off as a 4, now it's down to 3, but still a very powerful storm. A lot of flooding going on there and damage, and just keep those folks in your prayers. I know Florida loves getting them because they're just all the time and they're experts and they know exactly how to handle them, but they still do damage, and we need to remember that. And you know, hurricane season's really just kind of starting to get going, so it's very likely, I think, we'll see quite a few more. There's all kinds of disturbances out in the ocean right now, kind of moving that direction. And of course, you know, the kind of conspiracy side of us realize that these can easily be used to further their climate, you know, insanity cause. So as we see more and more of this stuff, we're probably going to hear more about how we need to, you know, give up everything and tax ourselves to death, you know, because of climate, right? Other things, New York, this boy, I'm telling you, it sounds so much like 3 years ago. It's like deja vu. New York has found the new thing, you know, the new thing that's making everybody sick. Or, well, it's not everybody. There's only a few cases, but they believe that this is the new bad deadly thing that's gonna kill everyone. The BA 2.86 variant, whatever. They found it in the wastewater. It's in the wastewater in New York City. Remember how they were, you know, going around and testing, and like, oh my goodness, it's in the apricots and it's in the bananas and the Pomeranian dog and the, you know, the tree and the rock and you know, the spare tire of your junk car. I mean, it's all got it, right? Well, it's also in the wastewater in New York, and there's been several cases here in the United States. I think it's still in the single digits according to the official narrative. But they're really trying to ramp this one up, and we've been talking about this, I know, yesterday and the day before, about how it's seeming more and more likely that we're going to have this you know, new resurgence of fear and control and lockdown, and we have to be ready for that. I think it's becoming more and more of a reality. Things are going on kind of strange and dangerous in Russia. There's a region up in the northwest of Russia, quite a distance from Ukraine. 20 drones, these kamikaze drones, came in and struck an airport there, damaged some planes. The reason why this one is strange is because it's so far away from Ukraine. These drones that they say they used, that they claim came from Ukraine, it would have been at pretty much the extent of their range, and to make it the distance from Ukraine. And that's going right at the border. Like if you went right at the edge of Ukraine, northern Ukraine, all the way up to where they landed and struck in Russia, that's right at the edge, the end of their range. So it's unlikely. I mean, it seems strange that 20 of them could have made that distance. But what's also strange is they would have had to cross the entire, you know, north-south part of the country, the central of Belarus. So they traveled that whole distance. They were never spotted. Through Russia, were never spotted. And then right at the last minute, everyone started noticing there's these drones as they start falling out of the sky. There's a lot of speculation right now that these came from the Baltic states. If that's true, and I'm, you know, I'm not siding one way or the other. I'm just saying that logically speaking, it would make sense, because it just seems highly unusual that you launch 20 and they go to the extent of the range and all 20 of them just happen to make it. I mean, it's just you know, especially with looking at the success rate of things out of Ukraine already, the odds of that happening seem to be unrealistic. So it's quite possible that attacks were made out of the Baltic states. It's possible that they could have come from inside of Russia, but these are fairly large drones. 20 of them, you would think that would be noticeable inside of Russia. So the point is that if this has happened outside from the Baltic states, Estonia and Latvia, that could cause things to escalate. Those are NATO countries, and yeah, that could bring NATO into it. We're looking at probably a very possible increase in escalation because of that. If you haven't watched it, I don't watch most all of them, but last night Tucker Carlson posted an interview on Twitter or X that he did with the Hungarian Prime Minister. I strongly encourage you to look that one up and find it. That's got to be one of the best interviews I've ever seen. The guy he's brilliant. I'm not talking about Tucker. I mean, he's fine, but I'm talking about this Hungarian Prime Minister. He goes on talking about, this was the topic of the video, but I want to say it anyways. He talks about the difference between his country and their values and Western values. Hungary is known for its very traditional Christian values, and he probably the best that I've heard explain what the difference is between traditional Christian moral family values versus this woke left stuff that you're seeing being pushed in the West. And I just encourage, it's a 30-some minute long video, and well worth the watch. The main thing, though, that we should be thinking about and talking about as I shift gears dramatically, not really, but some will say that, is that we need to be taking serious what's going on, not just our own preparations, but the deep need for us to realize we need each other. Americans, good or bad, we have built this idea that we are such rugged individualists that we don't need each other. And while it's very true that the early times in American history was founded, and America's expansion was done from rugged individualists that went out there and they blazed trails and they pioneered the land and tamed it down enough that the rest of us could come along and live in a pretty nice country. And so we interpret that as meaning people that don't need each other, people that don't need community, people that don't need to work with each other. And that's really not true. If you go out and you read your history, yes, these people went out there on their own a lot of times, but they still very much valued other people and the strength of that community. Because, you know, maybe one person went out and did something, blazed a trail, but he was doing it so that a community could come behind him and work together and survive together out on the wilds of the Western America frontier. We have to realize that we do need to have community as much as possible. I understand that there's some of you that are you're just ardent lone wolves, and I'm not here to criticize you at all. I'm not one of these that think that you're crazy or wrong. I'm here to tell, well, everybody else that you need to have each other. You need to have community. And, you know, one of the things I know you're all going to be telling me the same thing. I hear it every day. I don't know anyone. I can't find anyone. It doesn't exist around me. Unless you live in like San Francisco or Seattle or Portland or New York City, most places you can find other people that share some similarities to you. I think the problem is that too many people, Americans especially, we only want to associate with people that are identical to us. And we're watching that happen in today's political landscape, where if you don't believe exactly how I do, then we can't be friends, kind of thing. And it used to not be that way. You used to be able to have relationships and friendships and stuff with people that you agreed on some things and you disagreed on others, and that was fine. Nowadays, it's as if, you know, we can only associate with people that are identical to us, and that's really a kind of dangerous, a dangerous way to be. We shouldn't be that way. We should be welcoming people that have varying opinions. You know, we don't want an echo chamber. I mean, there are certainly things that are fundamental things that you're not going to waver on, and you're not going to want to associate. You know, you don't want someone that's a pedophile or something like that, or a thief or a liar. But I'm talking about other things that are just, you know, my opinion versus your opinion. We have to get beyond the fact that there's people that differ from us, and that's actually an asset to have people that have varying opinions. It gives you a better view of what's going on, and diversified opinions of how to handle it. We also have to realize that as individuals, well, all of us have problems. All of us have issues. All of us have failures. To put it very bluntly, everybody's doo-doo stinks. All right? Just say it. Everybody's doo-doo stinks. And this idea that we can't allow someone to know that we have weaknesses, or that we have failings, or that we want to point out someone's weaknesses or failings. This is a real problem for us as people that are trying to build community. We as Americans are unfortunately so far separated from what real community is. Most people have lived in cities and suburban areas where, even though there's thousands or millions of people around us, we isolate ourselves from that. So how many people actually know their next door neighbors? You can go to these apartment complexes where there's thousands of people living in one building, and no one knows each other. This has unfortunately become the norm. We have to get beyond that and realize that the coming struggle that we are facing and will certainly face in the near future, it's going to become much easier for us to struggle through it, to endure to the end, if we have others that we can work with. The only way that we're going to have others that we can work with is if we push past our differences and realize that while there may be little quirky things we don't like about this person, we can still work together. We also have to push past our own ego. Most problems amongst people is ego-driven. We all think that we know what we're doing. We all think that we're the best. We all think that we're in charge, or should be. And we have to realize that that's just not the way things go. Sometimes we have to play second fiddle. Sometimes we have to keep our mouths shut. Sometimes we have to let someone else get the glory. These are things that we have to do to form a successful community. Because here's the thing. Right now, if you have a bunch of people together trying to build a community, and things pop up here and there that, oh, well, I don't like this person, or this person offended me. I mean, those are normal things. And let's say someone decides that, they don't want to participate, and they just stop participating. Is that really a bad thing? Not necessarily. But if you have that community that has been built to really survive together, that's really, your intent is to ride the SHTF, waves, and then that happens afterwards, what are you going to do? Are the people going to say, well, fine, I'm going to go home and not participate anymore? That could mean life or death for them. If your whole preparedness plan has been developed around having a community to depend on each other, and then people can't get along and it splits up, I mean, you can't do that. We have to work out these differences now. And a lot of these differences that we need to work out are really within ourselves. These differences are within ourselves that we have to see that that we have this ego, everybody, and we have to a lot of times put it in a box, put it away. We have to be accepting of other ideas and other differences. There's this just strange separation here in America where we're very extreme, one extreme to the other. The one extreme is that 100% diversity, inclusivity, and tolerance, and all this left woke stuff. And then the other side is absolutely none of it. The reality is that it should be somewhere in the middle. A little bit of diversity is okay. A little bit of tolerance is okay. In fact, it's necessary for communities to work. You can't have a community if there's no tolerance of each other. It's a little bit more diversified community is better. If everyone in the community are auto mechanics, then who's going to grow the food? Who's going to heal the sick? Who's going to, build the buildings? So don't be one extreme to the other on that, and understand that it's much better for yourself, for your family, and your community if you kind of push past your differences and try to see the similarities. Most people that find themselves watching a video like this, or thinking at least somewhere along the lines of what I talk about, if you could write down all the key points about them, you'd probably find an 80 to 90% or higher similarity amongst people. But instead of acknowledging that, and acknowledging that we have very similar traits and similar beliefs and thinking and the patterns of our lives, we want to focus on the differences. We want to focus on that 5% or that 10% that we're different. We have to stop doing that. We have to realize that there's strength in numbers, and these evil monsters that are trying to take over the world and destroy our lives and destroy our freedoms and destroy our pocketbooks and destroy our the very thing that it means for us to be human, they're going to have a much harder job to do that if we stick together. But sticking together means we have to push past our differences. We have to realize that everybody's doo-doo stinks, and that it's okay. Because in the end, we're all brothers and sisters, and we're all children of God. And if we just stick together and we push through and create a community and build something stronger than these wicked left woke people, then we have a greater chance of survival. And that's something that you need to do. I'm saying these things because of the feedback that I get from so many people of problems that they're having. You know, they're trying to put a community together, and then all of a sudden everybody gets in a fight and they can't get along. How do I do that? How do I figure that? What's a solution? Well, the solution is the individual people need to realize that fighting is not the solution, and that acknowledging our differences can be a positive thing, and then also realizing that everyone's got issues, everyone's got problems, everyone's doo-doo stinks, and you need to get past that and work towards building something that's more important than any one person. Folks, right now it's time to get your houses in order. It's time to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually, because the coming storm is just upon us, folks, and it's going to start getting bad out there. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.